event cleanup. Chaos is costing you more than you think. Most event setups look beautiful for a few hours, and the cleanup begins. Cables everywhere. Missing props, broken equipment, half-packed storage bins. Staff rushing to leave before venue deadlines hit. And in the middle of that chaos, photo booth businesses lose something far more expensive than time: profit. Because according to experienced event operators, cleanup is where some of the biggest hidden business losses actually happen. Damaged gear, forgotten inventory, overtime labor, replacement costs, exhausted staff making mistakes after long events. The problem is that most owners treat cleanup like the easy part, but smart businesses know the opposite is true. The final 30 minutes of an event often determine whether truly profitable or expensive. And the more chaotic the breakdown process becomes, the more money quietly disappears behind the scenes. Every photo booth owner knows the feeling ends, the music shuts off, guests leave, and suddenly the venue turns into controlled chaos, cabled across the floor, props scattered between tables, half batteries, missing inventory, staff exhausted after hours of energy. And while most businesses focus entirely on setup and events, experienced operators know the danger begins during breakdown, because cleanup is where businesses become careless. People rush items gotten. Equipment gets damaged during transport. Important pieces vanish in the exhaustion of trying to leave quickly before venue deadlines or overtime charges hit. And the financial damage faster than most owners realize. One hacked iPad screen during teardown, a printer packed incorrectly and damaged in transit, premium props accidentally left behind after a wedding, extra labor because cleanup took longer than expected. Tiny mistakes repeated every weekend quietly destroy profit margins. And what makes this even worse is that cleanup usually happens when everyone's mentally drained, decision-making drops, attention drops, patience disappears, which means the most expensive mistakes often happen at the exact moment people stop paying attention. This is why experienced event businesses no longer treat cleanup as an afterthought. They treat it like an operational zone, because the final 30 minutes of an event determine whether the booking was highly profitable or secretly expensive. Some operators now use structured breakdown workflows where staff pack equipment in exact sequences to reduce damage and prevent missing items. Others create post-event inventory checks before leaving venues. The problems are caught immediately instead of discussed later, because once equipment disappears after an event, recovery becomes almost impossible. And in the modern event industry, the amount of gear businesses carry is large. Photo booth companies now transport camera sprinters, touchscreens, lighting, rigs, props, backdrop, systems extension, case networking, equipment, decor. Every item becomes another potential point of failure during teardown, especially after long weddings, corporate party, high-energy nightlife events where staff are physically exhausted, and exhaustion is expensive. Studies across multiple industries show fatigue increases human error dramatically. People move faster but think lessly. Important details get skipped. Expensive equipment gets treated rough simply because everyone wants to finish it. That's why many of the smartest photo booth businesses are becoming obsessed with using cleanly chaos. Not because organizations, because chaos directly attacks profitability. Missing inventory bin creates costs. One damaged cable delays the next booking. One forgotten item forces unnecessary travel later. Over time, these hidden operational leaks become massive, especially for businesses quickly, because more bookings don't just more revenue. They create opportunities for breakdown mistakes, more late nights, more rushed exits, more staff, more transportation damage, more missing inventory, which is why experienced operators eventually realize something important. The event isn't over when the guests leave. The event ends when everything returns safely, correctly, and efficiently back into the business system. And the companies mastering that process are often the ones quietly outperforming everyone else behind the scenes. Not because they work harder, but because they lose less during the chaos nobody else pays attention to. What makes cleanup chaos so dangerous is that most businesses never measure the true cost of it. You notice the obvious losses, a broken light, a missing prop, a printer, but the real damage usually happens in smaller ways nobody tracks properly. The extra 40-minute staff stayed overtime because teardown became disorganized. The next day exhaustion reducing productivity for another event. The rush packing that slowly damages expensive gear over months instead of instantly. Operator stress compounds quietly. And in the event industry, Quiet problems are often the most expensive because events operate under pressure. Venues want everyone out fast. Staff are tired. Clients are saying goodbye. Music is shutting down. Transport and schedules matter. Park lines matter. The entire environment pushes people towards speed instead of precision. And speed without systems creates chaos. That's why many experienced photo booths now structure teardown almost like military operations. Specific packing order, specific cable wrapping procedures, specific story checks before exit, specific staff responsibilities. Not because they enjoy being obsessive, because every organization reduces financial leakage. Some businesses separate teardown into zones. First electronics, second fragile equipment, last others transport bins. So staff instantly know where everything belongs without thinking, because thinking becomes unreliable when people are at 1 a.m. after a 6-hour event, and this is where many smaller operators unknowingly hurt themselves the most. They underestimate how much mental fatigue affects business quality. A tired team moves differently, communicates differently, handles equipment differently. That exhaustion creates more forgotten items, more damaged gear, more setup problems at future events, more stress staff members, and eventually cleanup chaos starts affecting company culture itself. People become frustrated, burnout increases, events feel than they should. This is why organized businesses often scale faster with stress, not because they avoid hard work, because they reduce unnecessary friction. And the financial difference becomes enormous over time. Imagine two businesses with the same number of events, constantly replacing damaged equipment, losing props, paying overtime, and preventable mistakes. The other running clean teardown systems with minimal losses. At first, the difference looks small, but over hundreds of events, the gap becomes massive. Thousands of dollars saved, less stress, faster workflows, longer lasting equipment, happier staff. That's the hidden power of operational discipline. And perhaps the biggest mistake new events make is believing creativity builds sustainable success. It doesn't. Creativity gets attention. Systems protect profitability. The businesses surviving long-term understand, because in the event industry, beautiful setups only last a few hours, but operational mistakes follow businesses for years. And now social media has made efficiency even more important. Clients expect instant professionalism, fast turnaround, booth experiences, no visible problems. One case breakdown captured on can damage reputation quickly, especially in industries built heavily on referrals and visual brand. That pressure means businesses can no longer afford disorganized operations behind the scenes, which is why many successful photo booth owners are quietly investing more into back-end systems than flashy upgrades, better storage systems, better transportation organization, better staff workflows, teardown procedures. Once operators realize where money actually dissipates, the business changes completely. And maybe that's the hidden truth behind cleanup chaos. The biggest threats are rarely dramatic. They're repetitive. Small, unmanaged mistakes repeated every weekend. Stress, burnout, and financial leakage become normal. But businesses with systems interrupt that cycle. They create predictability in an industry built around pressure and movement. And predictability is what allows businesses to grow without collapsing under their own complexity. So here's something worth asking yourself. If someone secretly filmed your cleanup process after every event, like a scalable business system or controlled panic, drop your honest answer below. And if you want more deep dives into event business operations and profit leaks, and the systems smart creative companies use to scale without burnout, subscribe. The businesses winning long-term are usually mastering the invisible details everyone else ignores.